What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for hanging in there, for being positive, and keep training Capoeira even on these hard times. Today, I have the pleasure to bring back my good friend, Professor Soquete from Toronto. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, my friend. It's great to see you again. I miss you. I miss your
Yes,
podcast. Oh, it's great. Always have something to connect to.
awesome. Yeah, and just I'm trying to connect with as much people as I can so we can bring more positive stuff to our community.
Yeah, connectivity is a really interesting thing, right? Especially now when
Yes.
I see footage of the people in Italy and they're the giant apartment building, and there's one guy on one floor with a DJ set up, and then the guy next level up, he's got his guitar playing, and two floors across, there's somebody with a saxophone, and people are dancing. It really shows, like, for humanity, how much we desire connection, how much we value that
Each
human
other.
community and being together. People are stuck in their houses, or they're not as stuck as they think they are, but people are for the most part, not getting to be in the community that they're used to being in, and they're feeling it. But
Yeah.
you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. I was actually talking to a friend that is hopefully now we can understand how much we can value human being and be like, man, I actually miss being around people.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. Like, because I teach like self defense in high schools and work with young men and women. The dynamic is really different too, because a lot of times the girls are sitting in their little groups and they're plaiting each other's hair and playing with nails and stuff, and then you watch the guys come in and all they want to do is roughhouse and beat each
Yeah.
other up, all around and wrestle. But again, it's that sign of that desire for connection. Like, we all want
Yes.
to feel we're around other people and that we're part of something.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
where capoeira is a really important thing, because there are so many facets to capoeira that even if we can't be connected physically with another training partner and move around, we can look at our own movement, we can look at our own sense of self in our space.
Yes.
But then capoeira has music, and it has, the art and the history. And I guarantee everybody out there can look inside themselves and say, well, where's one of my weaknesses in capoeira? And whether it's information on history, whether it's
Yes.
information on samba or makulele, or learning a particular couple of songs, for sure there's something you can do
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
dedicate your time. And the podcasts like yours are, again, another like fantastic resource where people can just sit down and think and feel, and then they have that time because they're not in the space, they're not in the moment. I'm finding too, we've been doing those classes online, and I've had people signing in and they're joining in on the class, and I can see them, and it makes me proud because they're in their uniform shirts and I can see them in their
That's
uniform,
awesome, man. Wow, that's
in
pretty cool.
in their lounge room or in their whatever space they have, and they're working on things. But it gives them a different perspective. It gives them an ability to really scrutinize not only their own movement, but everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're in a class, you get a piece of information or you get a detail, but there's somebody to the left of you that's having a giggle, and there's a light that's flickering somewhere, and we get easily distracted. But when it's just you in your own space and you're watching the teacher giving those details and those little bits of information, you can really scrutinize exactly what they're doing, and then you can look at yourself. And again,
Yeah.
we're in a world where technology is at our fingertips. So there's no reason why we can't be or shouldn't be filming ourselves and then looking at that and listening.
Absolutely, yeah.
So again, whether it's a music and an instrument and you sit down and you try to work on your skills with playing an instrument, record it and then
Yeah.
play it back to yourself and say, okay, well, here's where the rhythm is failing. Here's a particular note or a sound that needs to be worked on. It's a really good time for us to look at ourselves individually and find areas where we need to improve and dedicate that time. Be positive
Absolutely.
to the time.
Absolutely. I see so many people on Instagram right now where they like tag each other with doing push-ups or doing something at home that to keep them active. Capoeira music, and they just keep trying. And I think that's the key. Just keep moving and keep practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. Last night I saw a great post by Mr. Itabora, and he was crediting people who were doing wonderful work in the community and pushing things out and saying, "Here's some stuff to work on." And he was particularly crediting people like Mr. Tony Vargas, Mr. Correba, and other people who are doing wonderful things to present music. And then he presented a song that he's written himself, and it was all
That's
about
awesome.
smiling and having a perspective. And perspective's a really important thing now because if hashtag first world problems, here we all are complaining about all these little things, and people are running around, you know, chasing down toilet paper like it's gold.
Yeah.
But if we want to put it into perspective, what was the journey like for an African person in Brazil 100 years ago, 200 years
Yeah.
ago? You know, the
Yeah.
things we think are a real problem for us right now, when you put it into that kind of perspective, it's easy to humble yourself and sit down, and then you can recenter, regather yourself, and refocus, and then again back to moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And just like try to like set goals to this situation, even if it's daily goals, and try to have the a kind of accountable partner where like I don't know, and be like joining those online classes. How can people find you to do those classes if somebody else want to join you?
Yeah, so with my student base, I'm doing private classes for them because they're continuing to pay their monthly fees, and so I'm trying to
Absolutely.
make sure I deliver something very specific for them where they can sign in and then they can still get their one-on-one time and ask their questions and get their information uh, to them, and then also for them to send stuff back for me to help give them guidance into where they want to improve. And I've even opened that up now and spoken to some of the people in our students in the Philippines, Indonesia, and Australia, and
So
said,
cool.
guys, we're all in the same boat. So why don't we all, the time difference is a challenge, but I'm also then sending it onto YouTube unlisted and sending it to our other Kadara family. There are certain things in every group style that isn't going to mesh with your teacher style. So that's why I keep that separate. But I'm still then putting things online through my Instagram and through my Facebook that are for the broader community because again, community is such an important thing. We can't just
Yes.
ourselves in our own little bubble and be in that tribe mindset of we're going to do our thing over here and you can't have access to it because capoeira is an art form that needs to be shared, that needs to be pushed out into a broader diaspora, and they're only going to appreciate that if we can do it together and work as part of a greater community.
Absolutely.
Another thing Mr. Jabora says is, each community is like a little neighborhood, and you have your different schools that are like your different houses, and then you've got your playground. And the playground is where everybody gets together, and we need to work to maintain the playground together. So, with the Capoeira in Toronto Facebook page, they started making some posts about, oh, hopefully we'll get some online stuff happening now. And so I made that choice. I said, well, I'm going to post some things and give you food for thought. And again, I don't want to just post videos of myself training and be like, here, do this.
Yeah.
I want you to, because it's a time where you said we can analyze and we can take time to really strategize and think about what we're doing rather than just copying somebody else. The first
Yes.
thing I sent out a video that was just how many different ways can we finish a meal with the French?
Oh
Because
yeah.
everybody uses meal with the French. It's like your jab.
Yeah.
Um, but once the foot passes the apex of its intended target, whether the person is skivers or counters or does whatever, the kick has done its job. So does it need
Yes.
to be
Absolutely.
all the
Yeah.
way back to the same base position every time? Can you over rotate and come back with a different kick? Can you cut it short and finish forward? There are so many different ways to play with just that one kick. So I posted a video with 4 or 5 options and then left another 2 or 3 the obvious options out and put the post out there saying, send me videos and send us some replies where we can see your thinking about your movement and how you can send me stuff and hopefully I'll see something that I didn't present. And that
Yeah.
means that we're getting people to thinking. You did talk about goal setting, and goal setting is really important. I give a lot of affirmations during classes and I try to get a little bit Yoda like. But even in the self defense school classes that I teach in high schools, one of the affirmations we give is, what have I done well and what can I do better? And
Yes, I
so
like that one.
where you can just make a list. You get the end of your day, and now we've got the time, so we may as well make some positive changes in our lives. At the end of the day, sit down and make a list of all the things that you did today that were positive, that were good, that were, good for other people or good for our own personal growth. And if you can take 5 minutes to look at the things that you did well today that are positive, then you can give yourself a pat on the back. It's easy for us to to look at someone else and say, hey, I love what you're doing, but it's not always easy for us to look at ourselves and say, you know what,
Yes.
I'm moving in the right direction. But
Yeah.
as human beings, we also need to then make that next list. What can I do better? Tomorrow, when I get out of bed, what steps am I going to take? What goals am I going to put for myself to continue to move forward? And that's the kind of affirmation you can use for daily life, but also in your training. You pick a movement like that Male de French, and you're like, all right, well, what has it done? How is it done? What can I do that's different? How can I make it work in ways that other people might not expect? Where's my arms? Where's my legs? How bent are my knees? And to analyze each individual movement and moment, and then how can I improve the way I do that?
Yeah, the lower back, especially like we have sometimes when we don't even notice it, we have bad form, and that's actually like causing injuries on us.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And the camera doesn't lie, right? So
Yeah.
put that camera on and you start to see it. And that's where you can take that moment, take it in and go, all right, well, here's some areas where I need to put some focus and
Yes.
continue to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm actually setting up the Zoom page for me to start teaching my students, because they a couple of them are pretty new to capoeira, and I'm going to start presenting them the capoeira history, it started, his instruments, and how the history behind the instruments, Portuguese, so they can get a little bit more familiarized with what we're doing here. Because sometimes people come to class and okay, well, but I don't know what he's talking about.
Absolutely. Having context is really, really important. That's why I said before too, like taking the time to look at where do I have a lack in my knowledge base? Am I really good with my understanding of the movement? Can I then look at finding another area of my weakness that I can improve upon it? And the history and the culture is going to give so much more context to your students.
Yes, for
I
sure.
really enjoy that Zoom platform. My wife put it on to me, and Gia, she's an educator. She's like, you got to get on this Zoom, then people can have their meetings, and you can do everything online. And again, your beginner students are then going to see more value in what it is that you're doing for them too.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, again, it's come back to that connectivity. A lot of times, if someone's doing another group fitness class and they turn up, they pay their X amount of dollars, they get you for an hour, and then they go, even if it was yoga or something like that. But
Yeah.
you're demonstrating to your students that you're available at other times and you're there for to be questioned and to give well considered responses and to feed them information that's outside of what they thought capoeira was. Then absolutely they're going to appreciate you and your work even more.
Yeah, yeah, and especially when they come back and they start seeing see you in person, it's going to be a completely different interaction too.
Yeah. And how long have you guys been closed down for? I can imagine you're missing them as much as they're missing you right now too, right?
Well, the this Wednesday was actually my last class, and probably tomorrow, Indianapolis, I think is going to be into lockdown this today. Probably they haven't said anything on the news, but I think we're going to lock down today. If we do, I probably won't have class tomorrow. But I already gave the heads up to all my students and be like, hey, this probably happened. This is probably going to be the scenario. So just be ready just in case. It's better be ready and never need it, and one day need it and never be ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. Better to have and not need than need and not have.
Yeah.
And too, it shows that you're already proactively thinking about what you're going to do and what your extra sections of the things you're going to give and deliver to them. So they're already in a mindset where, oh, okay, he's already thinking about us. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
and now we've got the time. If you're going to be in lockdown, start clearing a space and keep it cleared. Know that you're going
Yeah.
to get that work done and find time to or find space that you can move around.
Yeah, it's funny because one of my students, shoot down to Colorida, she actually listened to the podcast. She was like, I listened to the whole episodes to on 1.2 or 1.5 speed. She went through the whole thing really quick. So
Wow.
yeah, so shoot out to my students there, and she told me that she cleared out her place so she can do capoeira there. I was like, nice, that's awesome, man. I'm proud of you.
Perfect. And that's, the amazing byproduct of being able to start a group and being able to inspire people to want to do things and to put a piece of yourself and your art into someone else's heart to a degree where they are like, oh, I'm going to move my couch and I've got to get some
Yeah,
do that. And like I saw the videos of you and your wife last night moving around that cone, like I'm going to have a focal point and that's going to be my opponent. And I'm going to continue to move around it and I'm going to hunt like a jaguar as I move. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's a beautiful thing when you can see that effect has been made on someone. And then that even just makes you want to give even more.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And how are you keeping yourself now as a perspective as a professor? Is easy when we're students and we're receiving, but you or your mindset when you're giving, how do you keep that positive mindset there?
Now, like because I'm doing classes on my own or just in general.
Just in general, for so because at the end of the day, in general, it's going also to affect your classes.
Yeah, in general, I just I've had a life that's taken me in a bunch of different directions, and I've seen some of the darkness that have people have inside them, and I've seen some of the amazing brightness that people have inside them. And so I reached a point where capoeira had affected me so positively that I absolutely had to share it with the world. And my goal from the onset was to continually inspire people to grow and give them nuggets of things in a philosophy kind of mindset that are going to help them to make a change in their own life for the better. I had some amazing mentors when I was really young in martial arts, in taekwondos and in karates and other things, and they just stuck with me. And now,
That's awesome.
30 years later, I'm still like thinking about the way that person made an impact on my life. And that's, to me, my major driving force. Every time I step out onto that floor, doesn't matter how tired I am, doesn't matter how many injuries I've got that I'm trying to deal with, I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to try to make people think. I'm going to make them move. I want to make them grow. And the music has such a meditative quality too that it really needs to be appreciated and felt.
Yes,
So, I don't have the prettiest voice in the room, but when I sing with passion, and I think
yes, that's what
people can
matters.
do that, right? And
Yeah,
and so, getting everybody together and making sure we can get a good vibe going in that, it's to me, it's better than any roller coaster ride or any fun park I could ever go
yes,
to. I'd much rather be in a class sharing information, creating moments and opportunities for people to really think about movement or philosophy in the art or history. So now that we're in a closed room and I'm not getting as much of an instant feedback, it's a challenge. But as soon as I, set the meeting up on Zoom and I've got a student sign in and then another student signs in and then I look and they're in their uniform shirt and they're like, "Hey son,
so
how you
cool.
doing?" I'm like, "Let's go."
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
and then the other benefit for me is that I can't step back into teacher mode right now and walk around the room and adjust people. Everything I'm doing physically. So I feel like I'm actually working harder than I have in the last couple of months, just in myself. And I've sore hamstrings, and I'm like, oh, I need to spend a bit more time on those stretches in between. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm loving every minute of it. I'm lucky that because I'm doing three different kinds of classes. I'm doing a kids class online, 45 minutes, a youth class online, 45 minutes, and then adults. So my own two kids are in here for the kids class, and they're in their uniform behind me, and they're jumping around as well. And so that gives me a little bit more energy to push out,
Yes.
especially with the kids. Um, and then it's funny, they didn't join me this Wednesday because it was one of my boys' birthdays, and I was doing one of the games I play, and we teach the kids like a cruzado and a little cabezada, and
Okay.
so I'm in the middle of doing that, and I'm like, how am I gonna do the cruzado and get the kids to fall over? And I literally like let down, head forward, and like put my top of my head right into the camera like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, did you fall? Did you fall? Did you get up the right way? Okay, we're gonna do it again. Cruzado, here I come. And so I swear the parents must be looking at this video like, what is this guy doing? But I'm getting lots of messages of positivity from the parents, and they're
Yeah,
like, thank
yeah.
you for doing this positive thing. I think it would be easy for people who didn't care as much about the art and about their students for them to be like, oh, 2 weeks, well, we're closed, and that's it. I'm going to go and,
Go home
sit
and
down.
I'll see you later.
But there's definitely an effort here at Kadara to make sure that everybody's being connected with, right? Because again, it
Yes.
comes back to this connection. So following up with text, and we created like a Google Classroom, and we're creating those like find a word things with all capoeira words and sending them out to
Oh,
the.
that's pretty cool.
And we did a thing where we took like a photo of my son doing capoeira and then turned that into a coloring in page.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
then
pretty
I
cool.
sent a message out to the parents, and I'm like, choose your favorite photo of your kid doing capoeira, send it in to us, and we'll turn it into a coloring in page. They send it back to you, and you can color in, because kids want to have activities. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
amazes me how many kids love doing the arts and crafty things. So again, if we can engage with them on a variety of levels that are all capoeira related, we're going to keep them interested, because
Yeah.
kids can be
The
fickle these days. It's YouTube, next video, next video, next video. So if they're sitting at home, it would be easy for a kid to be like, no, I don't want to go back.
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
To be like, oh, I miss that guy. I want to go back and see my professor. I want to do my class and hang out with my friends. So
Yeah, yeah. Especially how building that community sense on kids is so important, especially today's days. You know, those
yeah,
kids are just plugged to those computers and screens and everything.
yeah. And so that connectivity then has to happen on two levels. We need to do it with the kids, and then we also need to do it with the parents, because they're the
Absolutely, yeah.
who are driving the kids in, dropping them off, or sitting in the room watching their kids. And it's too easy, especially here. And I know it gets snowy there too, right? When it's snowy, for a parent to be like, nah, I don't really want to go
I
today.
don't want to die. Yeah.
When- But when they see the way the kids are acting and interacting and the kind of lessons, it's not just physical, they're getting life lessons. We break down songs, which is another area we can talk about in a minute. We break down songs and look for metaphors and look for ways of reminding the kids about life lessons and morals and ways to be a good person and be a good human being.
Yeah.
So it's another thing. When the parents see their kids are getting that kind of level of connection and that kind of level of direction and mentoring, I think that they're like, no, I don't care if it's snowy. I'm going to get up and I'm going to drive in.
Yeah, to keep this kid happy and moving and learning stuff that they don't really know. The,
Yeah.
as a parent to pass it to them. And what kind of songs do you teach to those kids to keep that to
So
help them learn those stuff?
it's funny because sometimes I find songs that I think are absolutely beautiful. All the adult student base are like, oh my God, that's an amazing song. And I try to hit the kids with it, and they're like, yeah, we're not feeling that, buddy. And I'm like, why? So their kids are all about hype tracks, right? They want this like go go go
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. The,
Still,
the, the energy.
you know, one of they like songs that are easy to learn and understand, again, because language is an issue when you're a bunch of Canadian kids with varied backgrounds, and some speak second and third languages in my class, but none of them is Portuguese. um, I use songs like we were teaching that dende oh dende dende oh
Oh,
dende
then yeah,
dende de Angola Angola de dende, because the second phrase of that is mestre bimba foi embora, mestre pastinha foi embora,
yeah,
Babema. And so I stopped there and I'm like, you know what this song is about? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, we're paying respect and appreciating the people who came before us and the people who worked really, really hard and maybe
yes,
sacrificed to get the art to a place where it is today and get us. And I'm like, now look at your parents. Your parents are the people that are working really hard and they're suffering and they're sacrificing so you can come to these classes, so you get to eat at night. And it's important that you remember them and your grandparents and the parents before them. And the parents are sitting there going, how do you get that out of a song? And I'm like, well, this
Pretty
is,
much. Yeah.
this is the depth and the context of the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many of the songs in capoeira can be interpreted in a way where it talks about, well, sometimes life is up, sometimes life is down.
Yeah.
We're going to keep moving forward and we're going to do it. Whether it's, amareta shea yo yo,
Yeah. I like that one.
tide goes up, the
That
tide
is
goes down.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just about the water. And there's other points of reference where um, in ports like Rio, where they had to wait for the tide to get to a certain point before they could load and unload the ships because of the height of the deck and the height of the boat. So there was only certain times a day where you could load and unload, and the other times they had a bit more opportunity to vadear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I give it to the kids, and I'm like, okay, so who's ever had one of those days where you feel really down? And they're all like, well, me. And I'm like, okay, who's ever had one of those days where you're like, best day ever? And they're like, well, me. And I'm like, okay, so sometimes the tide goes up, sometimes the tide goes down.
Yeah.
It's always going to come back into balance itself. And sometimes it's a big long tide that's down, and sometimes it's a big high tide that's super fun. But at the end of the day, all things will pass and
Yes.
come back. And so,
Per-
again, perfect for right now, for where we are, right?
yeah. I was all the exact same.
Right?
Say the exact same thing. Yeah.
We're dealing with a situation that's not optimal. But again, like the perspective, it's definitely not as hard as it's been in the history of the world over many, many thousands of years.
Absolutely.
It's going to ebb and flow. For me, as an Australian living in Canada, I've never been in a situation where there's been like a lockdown or a thing where they're like, we're going to shut everything down for a couple of weeks because of this flu. I actually thought this was the first one ever. And my wife was like, no, they did that here when there was SARS or MERS or something else. So it's not new to North American people. But have you ever done that coming from Venezuela?
Uh, not that I really remember, probably,
Yeah.
but probably not my lifetime.
So for me it was new ground, but again coming back to the music, right, where it's going to go up, it's going to go down, things are going to happen in waves, but it's important to keep that long-term vision. Like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
tough right now, but there's always going to be a day where it's going to be better and it's going to be brighter. So yeah, the kids love those kind of songs. They love those Aruande,
Nice.
aqui na minha casa. And sometimes the parents are like, he's been singing it for 3 days. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But at the same time, I'm not sorry.
Yeah. How a little kid that she was like singing CCC now and now for like a week, and the mom would text me one day. It's like she's been singing this the whole day. I was like,
It's
that's
like,
awesome.
it's like 6 words.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how the song, Steve.
Yeah.
Amanhã tem. Hoje tem, amanhã não. Like today
Yeah.
I have, tomorrow maybe I don't.
Yeah.
That's where we are, right? Today we don't, but tomorrow it's gonna be better again.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
recurring theme, right, of perseverance.
Yes.
Perseverance is important in these times. My kids were watching a show. I was doing some work on my computer, and between channels, I hear this one character say, "Oh, that's perseverance," and another kid's like, "What's perseverance?" And the way the character described it, remembering it's a kid show, I thought was perfect and simple. What's perseverance? It's the hard work you do when you're tired from all the hard work you've already done.
Oh, whoa. That's awesome.
Right? It's simple.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
definitely articulate it differently for an adult audience, but that was something I could say to the kids. I'm like, here, and we put it on the board, and I'm like, what's perseverance? And they're like, I don't know. And I said, it's the hard work you do when you're tired from the hard work you've already done. And all
Yeah.
the parents are like, I like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the simple perspective is a valid one. Um, and so, yeah, that's where we are now. We need to persevere. We need to knuckle down. We need to stay connected. We need to keep pushing stuff out into the ether, into the internet, so that we can give people things to think about, things to listen to, things to learn.
Yes.
And so, putting your music out there, putting your techniques and skills, and not just like here's 20 of this kick and here's 20 of that kick and now I'm going to esquiva lateral. But it's a good time to really ask people to think and to create. This capoeira 100 years ago wasn't all in an academy. It was, I'm going to watch this guy and then maybe this guy's going to give me some pointers and I'll come back to the hut the next week and I'm going to try it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And
It's
that was
they just doing it. Yeah.
definitely would have required perseverance, taking yourself down to a grassy spot where no one else is around and throwing yourself into that kick or that flip and over again.
Yeah.
And that's what I see when I'm in Brazil too. And you were there last year. I was there again with my family, and you just see people out in the park, and they're like, "I'm going to give this a go." So that old mindset of how learning of capoeira was done and how it grew through, I'm going to watch and then I'm going to go and give it a go. It still exists in Brazil, and it's
Oh
great.
yeah.
But then those kids are still like, I'm going to really get good, so I've got to go and train.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids doing backflips on the grass, and here we have the gymnastic place.
Yeah, yeah. And even in the gymnastic place, everybody's like, okay, be careful. Don't do anything. No, stop.
Don't do it too high because you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah, liability here is a bit crazy.
Yeah, but and to kind of like wrap it up a little bit. I just want to bring some positivity to the community right now. So kind of to bring that motivation back, especially in these days. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna be locked down. I'm gonna be bored at home. Well, if you're bored at home, like we always talk, and I always mention on my podcast, you capoeira is not only movements, is you can practice music, like we said before, instruments, you music, so many capoeira songs that you can find on YouTube with the lyrics on the video, and
Yeah,
you can
they're amazing.
practice them. Yeah, and just you don't know the word, contact your instructor, your professor, your master or your mestre, and be like, hey, master, how you say this?
Absolutely. Yeah, look, Capoeira 101, I always say, it was created from a situation and a place where people were found themselves in a situation. And then they're like, okay, well, this is the situation. This is what's going on. I've got to find my way over it, through it, around it, under it. I've got to
Yes,
keep channeling and again, perseverance to get through to the other side. And so this is exactly right now. We've got to accept the situation that we're in and find a way around it, over it, under it. And whether it's online, whether it's in the park, because a lot of people are just staying indoors, and
yeah,
that can get to you. I took my kids for a walk down by the beach, and we threw some stones in the water. There's not a lot of people around, so it's not too much of a safety concern. But at least you're getting out. You're breathing the air. You're walking in the
yes,
grass. Got your toes in the sand. My big advice is go and do something. Get on a bicycle, take a ride, right? Find somewhere to do some training where there's nobody else around, and find the joy in your movement. Find the joy in the
yes,
music. Think to it. And capoeira is such an amazing art, and the music has such a meditative quality, and the movement has such a transient kind of vibe to it as well, where we can really escape the situation that we're in by engrossing ourselves in all of the beauty of capoeira.
oh yes, yes. The energy, the history is so much that we can learn out of the out of class, so much as when we go to class. Is we can take advantage of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back to share some of positivity, and let's keep in touch, and let's keep inspiring people to keep moving.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. I'm super excited to see your work all the time. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. Let's keep doing what we got to do. Sarava.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Ciao, buddy.
Hey, I hope you like this video and you like this interview as I did. Please turn those notifications on. Please subscribe and comment down below your thoughts and any question you have for any capoeirist in the world. If you have one question, what will it be? Also, join me in this capoeira podcast because you or everyone in the capoeira community have an experience to share. Even share the experience for people that never have done capoeira and they can understand and they can join us too. Please share with your friends, share with everyone in the Capoeira community. Let them know the Capoeira podcast experience is open for everyone. Doesn't matter group, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter the planet, doesn't matter the earth, if you're from Mars, but you do Capoeira, I'm going to have you here. Okay, let's share this experience so awesome that Capoeira give us. Okay, please comment down below, let us know what you think. Peace.